very exciting tour planned for you around the capital of my island. And then I'm going to take you guys to Caramel Boutique, which is our botanical garden, where you will spend 90 minutes, not 60 like last time, 90 minutes walking around the botanical garden, looking at various fabrics. And then when I pick you guys back up, I'll drop you off, those that want to, at a local fabric store if you want to purchase fabrics.
Yay.
Now we're presently driving through the capital of St. Kitts. The capital of St. Kitts is called Basseterre. Basseterre is a French town which means low lands. That is because all the land in the capital is at sea level.
Everybody wave. Sorry, I didn't get you. That's why I put
She
my
told
hand
me she
in
didn't
front
want
of
you. Now, anybody on my bus ever been to London, England?
Yes.
All right. Pop quiz. What does this area look like in London, England? It's a replica of it.
I have that same picture.
That is the monument. What about the area?
I do. It popped up on my Facebook.
It is a replica of Piccadilly Circus or Piccadilly Square in London, England, and of course the famous full-face clock, Big Ben. Now, as we drive through the capital, you should realize most buildings, left and right, are created from volcanic, handcrafted, andesite stone. If you take an even closer look, you should also realize most of these buildings have dungeons. Look at the bottoms. That is because these buildings now were primarily townhouses for slave traders and slave owners. Now, sugarcane was a big part of the economy here in St. Kitts. Everybody was coming to the islands to grow sugarcane and gain their share of the wealth. Now, the African slaves had to be brought in to toil these sugarcane fields. Those slaves which had survived the treacherous Middle Passage journey from Africa to the Caribbean, they were weak and severely malnourished. Traders would not get a good price for their slaves in this condition. So the slaves now were held in these dungeons. Once there, they would be secluded from view. Then they would be fed a fatty or starchy diet until they were nice, ripe, plump, like your Thanksgiving turkey. They would then be removed from these dungeons, stripped completely naked. They would be bathed from head to toe. Then their black skin would be rubbed with coconut oil so that they can shine in the Caribbean sun like a brand new penny. They would then be taken here to your left, as it was called in 1690, to Pall Mall Square. Now at Pall Mall Square, this is where the slaves were bought and sold into slavery. And it was a very degrading process. Now imagine being standing naked, totally naked, in a crowd of people. Not only that, but you were raised up on a pedestal so that everyone can see your nakedness properly. You were not able to use even your own hands to hide any part of yourselves. Potential buyers would come. They would touch you, prod you, and examine you before purchasing you. Ladies, you were chosen by how pretty your faces were, how nice your bodies were, so that you can be house slaves or chambermaids. Some were chosen as sex slaves, others for the reproduction of more slaves. Your entire lives would be spent giving birth to children, one after the other. You will bear children until your bodies die from exhaustion or until you were completely barren. Males, we were chosen by how strong and robust we were, how broad our shoulders were, for the hard work that was needed in the sugarcane fields. Some again, for for the reproduction of more slaves. After St. Kitts gained their independence from Great Britain on the 19th of September 1983, Pall Mall Square was forever renamed to Independence Square. Once again, St. Kitts gained their independence from Great Britain on the 19th of September 1983, 34 years ago. Now, coming up to your right is one of the youngest churches here. It is the 187-year-old Cathedral of the Immaculate Conception, locally called the Catholic Church. Now, Catholic is one of the most dominant religions here. Many religions are practiced. Catholic, however, is one of the most dominant. This is the largest Catholic church on the island, and it is also the only church which houses a convent school in the rear for parents who wish for their children to be brought up with a religious education. Coming up once again to your right is another very famous place here. However, it was built in 1840 out of volcanic andesite rock. I don't recommend you visit this famous place while you're here though. Look to your right, high walls, lots of security cameras, razor wires here at this end. I'm guessing this building is the prison. But then again, maybe you guys do want to visit the jail, do you?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Inside the jail, those prisoners aren't trying to get out. They've got warm beds, hot showers, 3 square meals a day, cable TV, flat screen TVs. They've even got free Wi-Fi. I don't have free Wi-Fi. But even the prisons are better in paradise, guys. As a matter of fact, they're so good, we've got a saying here on the island: if you're in St. Kitts and you're looking for a free vacation, go to prison for a week. You will come out well fed and well rested. Now, coming up to our right is the largest Anglican church here on the island. It is the St. George's Anglican Church. Now, this church was initially built out of wood, but after it was mysteriously destroyed 4 times by 4 different natural disasters, it was rebuilt in 1690 out of volcanic andesite rock. Now, does anybody on board know the story of who started the Anglican Church and why?
Yes.
Who started it?
King Edward.
Why?
Because he wanted to divorce. He wanted more wives.
That is correct. But since the Catholics would not give him divorce, what did he do to get rid of his wives?
He killed them.
Kill them. Cut their heads off. Guys, don't get any ideas now. But after a few years and a few heads, he suddenly grew a conscience. He created the Anglican Church, became the head of his own church. Now, every time he wanted a divorce, he would simply grant himself a divorce, move on to the newest wife. Ladies were happiest about this decision. Why? They got to keep their heads. Now, coming up to your right is the main government building here. It is called Government Headquarters. And this is where the 8 heads of government, which govern the 8 parishes of St. Kitts, their offices are located. Now, we might be considered a small third world country, but we've got big and beautiful ideas. There are 8 parishes on the island of St. Kitts, so naturally we have 8 heads of government to govern each parish. But we were smart enough now to build one building and stuck all 8 of them offices in the same building. Because we all know that the hardest thing to do is to find a politician once they've been elected. So to cut out that problem, now we built one building, stuck all of them offices in the same building. They're not allowed to have offices anywhere outside that building, and they must work from inside of their offices every day. So now it's like keeping a bad dog on a very short leash. Now this to your left, guys, is the fabric store that I'm going to drop in you guys off at the end of the tour for those that are willing and interested in purchasing fabrics. Now since we have such a tight leash on our politicians, they're forced to do the work that we're paying them to do, and we can even closely monitor the amount of money that they're actually stealing from us. We don't make joke in our politicians here. Politicians have to sign a disclosure agreement, which means before they take office, we have the right to know their bank account, assets, properties, holdings, liabilities, and after they leave office, guess what? We have the right to once again scrutinize. And if what they have acquired during their office tenure does not add up to what they could have before they pay scale, they're taken before the court and they will receive some free Wi-Fi. Let's talk about transportation. How do the average people get in and around the island, those that don't have their own cars? We've got a bus system. However, it is unlike your guys' bus system back at home. It is smaller, all privatized. Private owners would buy buses like these. They're usually Toyotas or Nissans. These buses would be decked out with nice rims, cool colors, catchy slogans, airbrush designs, huge sound systems, tinted windows, leather seats, DVD players, anything to make their bus more attractive than the other. Now these buses would drive from end to end of the island all day, some instances all night, picking up and dropping off these passengers. Anywhere you are on the island, a bus comes, you simply stick your hand out like this, the bus stops, you get on. Pay your fare, you reach a destination, you say stay, you get off. It doesn't cost more than $1 to $2 US to get anywhere on the island. Also at a bus depot is our ferry terminal, where you can take the ferries over to our sister island, Nevis. Nevis at its closest point is only 2 nautical miles away from us. Still at the ferry terminal and bus depot, even though the markets are not in full swing until Saturday, here is a place you can get your fresh fruits, vegetables, herbs, spices, ground provisions, anything you need for everyday living, 100% fully organic, fresh from the earth, no additives, no chemicals, no pesticides, no nothing.